This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bockoven.
Yes, great to be with you here on a Sunday night, ready to talk some wrestling, WWE wrestling here on 93.7 The Ticket. We got a whole week to look back on, and we got more wrestling coming up as SmackDown will move to 3 hours. Raw, I think, will stay at 3 hours, but it's pretty much kind of up to them because it's streaming on Netflix here January 6th, starting January 6th. And as you know, if you stream something, it's kind of up to you. You can end it whenever you want, but I think they're going to try to stay to the 3 hour format. So we're going to have more wrestling to talk about and more wrestling to try to keep up on. I don't mind talking more about it. It's a lot to fit into an hour. So let's see if we can get it done. My tag team partner in crime, Augie Pena, here as well. Augie, have you been enjoying your wrestling?
Oh, it's been pretty good. You can tell they're at that stretch where they're just putting all their cards in for the Netflix January 6th in there. But hey, they're announcing some Royal Rumble matches too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Things like that. So, and yeah, I'm one of those people. I know there are some storylines, we're not all that happy about, but hey, 3 hours, of SmackDown, I think that could be a good team because they have some talent that they don't utilize. And with that extra hour, give me wrestling. Don't give me that storyline plot stuff. Just give me some wrestling, some action, and I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. I mean, there's like we say, people in catering that are going to be able to get some screen time, so that will be good for them. Omos, I've seen some stuff on him online over the last week, and you forget like there's some of these guys are still on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
They might be good for live events, but they just don't have them scripted for anything. Him in particular, they brought him back. He was gone for a long time. They brought him back for a week to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and didn't put him over, and then just threw him back. And I don't think we've seen him since.
No, we haven't. And honestly, it's kind of a good thing because he's not that great in the ring. He's 7 foot, 300 pounds, the typical big man, but kind of like the great Khali, just can't really do much in the ring, and so that's hard to work with. But yeah, just like last week, we mentioned, I forgot Apollo Crews was on.
Yeah.
They're just pushing people out now. They're like, hey, an extra hour, like you said, you're going to get some screen time here. So, and then there's still a lot of people that are out injured that are going to probably come back and hopefully fill some of those spots. So I'm excited.
Apollo Crews got his 10 seconds this week, so that's good. But we'll get to that. They've got some. They're like you said, it's kind of fun in wrestling right now. As they put a lot of this build and this feud, and as well as they should, to debut on Netflix to get a lot of the new audience in. But now, as you mentioned, with KO and Cody being booked for Royal Rumble, that's officially the countdown. Once you get to Royal Rumble, that's the countdown to WrestleMania. So we are now booking for the event, ready for the countdown to WrestleMania. So WrestleMania will be around the corner pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's exciting. Just forewarned for everybody. Don't look at the scripts, the leaks that are out there.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a couple things. I know that they can't be real. They can't be real, but it's that time of the year where they start leaking it. I'm excited because they always start to like mention, oh, this person's going to enter into the Royal Rumble and things like that. And it's an exciting time because, as we've mentioned, the Royal Rumble's outside of WrestleMania, probably my favorite, event. And it's a month away. So, and then that means WrestleMania is just right around the corner.
And and hypothetically, if Cody is wrestling outside of the Royal Rumble, then he can't win it this year, which would be refreshing, something new.
Yeah. And there are quite a few people that, could win it. And that's the fun thing. But yeah, like you said, I mean, back to back, that gets boring in there. And that also means Kevin Owens can't, which is okay, keep him away from that. But then it's interesting because you got all the old guys, John Cena, The Rock, that are potentially out there with the new guys. Hey, I mean, this is the year. This is that toss-up. You just don't know who's going to be able to get it.
Yeah, and I love how they warm people up. They get their storylines going into WrestleMania. Of course, you are going into the Royal Rumble. Of course, you can still fulfill a lot of that during a Royal Rumble match, depending on who eliminates who and all that. So, like you said, it's just a great event. I can't wait for it. But we've got to wait. We got they got to get through the January 6th Raw on Netflix debut. That's the big thing they're circling. So we'll talk about that plenty as we get going here. Let's go ahead and go for Monday Night Raw. We'll do it in the order in which it was presented this week. Sometimes we start with SmackDown, but there wasn't. This was not a week of crazy storylines with the must talk things going on. And we kind of mentioned KO and Cody there. That's kind of what they finished up with SmackDown. So we'll get to that eventually. But let's start with Monday Night Raw. And it started with Drew McIntyre coming out and explaining why he was targeting Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, particularly the old bloodline. Sami Zayn comes out and basically fights back at Drew. Drew did a really good job of basically trying to make himself empathetic toward the crowd, talking about losing loved ones, being far, having to fight far away from his family and all that. And then I thought Zayn did a pretty good job and said, "You're not the only one. Everybody in the locker room does that sort of thing." So I thought this was a very effective promo. Drew, as usual, does just such a good job of, even if he's the villain, letting you kind of see it through his lens, that it makes sense that he's not the villains. In fact, he even said the real villains of WWE are CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Now, hopefully, he doesn't have to start going after CM Punk again, but now focusing on Roman Reigns. So it was a little good back and forth there. And then I thought it was also notable that the Scottish Warrior warned Zayn that he's the least of his fears in the bloodline. And it kind of makes sense. And it makes you wonder if he's going to kind of go one by one through feuds with these guys and maybe fight through it at some point to get to Roman.
Yeah, and I mean, I hope so, because it seems like Sammy's the only one that's getting feuds with everybody that has a problem with the bloodline. And we've talked about it. Drew is just phenomenal at everything he does right now. I'd like to see, a Drew Jay, maybe not so much a Drew Jimmy, but I mean, that could be fun, maybe at the same time, and things like that. So I think this was a great way to start it. Everything he says, like we've talked about this. I don't know what they're doing, but with Kevin Owens, with Drew McIntyre, the villains, the heels, they're making sense.
Yeah.
We're not used to that in WWE. It's always selfish reason, things like that. No, they're legitimately upset at, things that actually happened to them, and to where they got rolled over for, and all that. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But, Drew, like I said, just does such a great job. And I mean, we've talked about this. There's just so much happening with the Roman thing. You want them to eventually maybe run that back, but it just feels like there's not enough time before WrestleMania. So you hope they do it justice and don't just kind of bunch it and rush it through, like 1 week it's this, 1 week it's that, and then Roman, and then all of a sudden it's pushed aside. Because I mean, they gave him and CM Punk, they got like half a year to do things.
Yeah.
You want to see maybe a month or two of him and Roman, not just thrown aside there.
Yeah, that could be a great feud at some point. Maybe you don't get to it till after WrestleMania. Maybe that's kind of what you move on to naturally next. But we'll kind of see. As we know, McIntyre's not the only one going after the bloodline. So it's quite interesting times there. And so they set up this match for later in the night. And they also were kind of telling the story. Like they have records and they know, but they don't have to tell you them. And they were very deliberate in telling that Sami Zayn has never beat Drew McIntyre, and that he wasn't feeling the best. They even had Jey Uso say he could step in, and then at Sammy was saying, "No, I got to take care of this myself." So it was really setting up the underdog against the favorite in Drew McIntyre here. So I thought that was why it was particularly effective to say, "You're the least of my worries" of that group. In any case, but let's move on to the next match. The first match, in fact, of our night was the Women's Intercontinental Championship Tournament. The winner of this would move on to the Final Four to take on Lyra Valkyria. And Pure Fusion Collective was doing their best to get Sonya Deville in the match. So the previous week, they had taken out Kairi Sane. But Raw General Manager Adam Pearce said, "No, we're not going to let you take somebody out and get in. We're, in fact, going to put Io Sky in this match." And so immediately, Io Sky gets Natalya and Alba Fire. Io Sky was the by far favorite. They didn't mess it up. They didn't go with an upset here. They did go with Io Sky, ultimately beating Natalya in Alba Fire. Interesting at one point, Natalya, she could always have some fun. Double sharpshooter on both the other contestants there. I thought that was kind of fun. It was a good enough match, but it went rather quickly.
Yeah.
Because as we knew, like the setup for the match let you know Io Sky was going to win this thing. It does make it kind of interesting again now that she's got Lyra Valkyria coming up next. I've seen some internet push, and everybody's got their favorite for Valkyria, maybe to carry this, maybe to get the upset. But on the other side, you've got Io Sky's damage control buddy, so they could have a damage control meeting at the end. That's another way that they could go about it. Or Zoe Stark will be taking on Dakota Kai, who's the other one on the other side. You could have they could also just set up the Pure Fusion Collective damage control finally a match with stakes between the
Yeah.
two, because they just keep, fighting each other, 50-50 booking. So there's lots of different ways to go here. I hate to say it. I know some people are big Lyra Valkyria or Valkyria fans, Lyra Valkyria, as I should say, and want to see her kind of get a push. I don't know if this is the spot for it right now. I think if you put all this effort into Pure Fusion Collective against Damage Control, you pay it off.
Yeah, you have to. And Lyra has only been with the WWE for half a year, maybe a year. She's been runner up in so many things. We kind of talked about it. Yeah, she's not bad, but I guess we never got the push, why she was getting such a push, such a rub so fast on there. I would love to see, me personally, I know it, I hate it because I think Dakota Kai was probably my favorite to win, but the way that they're setting it up, it's more than likely going to be a Zoe Stark, Io Sky finisher, as you said. There's got to be a payoff somewhere, but I would love to see an Io Sky Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun because there was kind of already this Dakota Kai was, maybe on the outs with them and then came back in. They're good guys right now, but when you're fighting for a championship, that always turns a page on there.
It was weird though, because I don't know if that's the story they're telling. That's what I saw when they showed the Final Four, right? But the commentators weren't at all saying, "Well, here we go." I mean, this could happen. The commentators didn't mention it at all, which is almost like they're ignoring it because for that reason, I don't think it's going to happen. As far as Io Sky and Dakota Kai, but that's what I would like to see too.
Yeah. And I was talking about like a couple months ago, she was kind of like on the outs with the Damage Control, like when she came back and all that from her injury. There was a little bit of tension, but as we've seen on SmackDown too, feuds and everything go away within like a millisecond. They just toss everything under the rug. And I feel like that's kind of what they did here. But I would like to see that opposed to, we talked about it. I think Zoe Stark was a huge surprise to even win her triple threat to get a spot here. So, and I think, Io Sky, I think, would be great as the first women's intercontinental champion, to give it some validation on there. But could you imagine if someone like a Zoe Stark got it? I don't think that'd be a great start for that championship, because we've talked about it. Zoe Stark had the Trish Stratus push, all that stuff. Now she's with a group I can't even name still. Yeah, one day I won't get it still. But they're kind of still an afterthought. And if you give it to her, I think that just kind of puts it off to a bad start. Unlike what they did with the US championship on that side.
Yeah. It definitely is interesting. I can't believe how far Zoe Stark's character has not developed since, like you said, being able to be brought in with Trish Stratus, a Hall of Famer. They kind of just, there was kind of one night where she turned on Trish and then Trish was gone, or maybe there was two matches out of it. But they could have definitely leaned in that a little bit more. I liked her as kind of that heel sidekick, and then she just kind of got lost so much so now that she is in Pure Fusion Collective, who's very lost as a group. So we'll see. Damage Control, obviously, with 2 members left in this thing, should have a pretty good statistical opportunity to claim the prize. Pure Fusion Collective could use it. Lyra Valkyria could certainly use it. So it just depends on what they want to do out of the gates with this Intercontinental Championship. I still think Sky is that's a formal champion. That tells you, that kind of rubs off on the importance of, having a former champion be Intercontinental Champion. The belt automatically feels important.
Yep.
I think that's the way that I would go with it, but we'll see what they do. Also, obviously, would make it interesting. And they like to do that is start tournaments for a championship, and then somebody who's never, it wasn't at the beginning of the bracket ends up winning it. Yep. Always makes it difficult, and maybe that's why you should never bet on wrestling. But let's move on to the next match here. Speaking of retreads, Chad Gable against Akira Tozawa. Gable, of course, at one time was in the leader of the group that Tozawa was in, along with Otis and those guys. And in the last couple of weeks, they've kind of been able to restart that. This didn't take too long. Gable made Tozawa tap from the ankle lock, and then did not let go. Otis came up there, pushed him, and then the rest of the group just kind of got out of the ring. But it sets up Gable and Otis for next week's Raw. And it's crazy because American Made at one time, this was hot. Like when Otis and Gable were going at it, and you were looking like, when is this going to, like, there was tease for this match. And at one time, this is exactly the payoff that everybody wants. They kind of let it go and then try to restart it the last 2 weeks. And now now it's up for next, for Raw tomorrow night. Are you still excited for Gable and Otis?
No, not at all. I'd forgotten about this, and like you said, I mean, this was something that should have happened months ago. They kind of did it, and then it went away. I don't know. I don't get what the whole rehash of things are. Just kind of go back to failed, feuds on there. And I just got to say this: props to Akira Tozawa. He's been around for like 20 years. Just keeps different. I don't know what he's got on the WWE, but he's on the roster. He gets TV time.
Yeah.
They always find a spot for him, and he's funny and he is good in the ring. Just he's not one of those guys. Yeah. And the fact that he gets a match with Chad Gable, who just last year or earlier this year, we were saying, he should have been the guy to dethrone Gunther, one of the hottest names in the WWE. And this is where it is. And when was the last time Otis even wrestled in a match? It's been a while. And it just, I don't know, because Chad Gable, he's somebody that should be pushed high, but yet he's still going back at it with Otis, who's somebody that, yes, won the Money in the Bank and then lost it. Things like that. Yeah, lost it in a jury, right? Like a law, like with the Miz,
a wrestling court or whatever it was. Yeah.
Oh,
that was bad. That was real bad.
Those times. On that, and
of course, his love affair with Mandy Rose. That was a big storyline for a while.
Oh my gosh, I just saw a video on that the other day, and I was like, man, WWE's really. There's a reason why sometimes the fans are just like, you know what, I'm a WWE fan. I'm not going to announce it to the world because there are some storylines that are just rough in there. But
if you were big and Vince was booking it, there were eating jokes coming. Could never get the girl jokes coming. You're gonna get made fun of.
Oh, it was tough in there. But with these two, I just still can't believe they got Chad Gable doing stuff like this instead of better feuds. Just last week, he was on SmackDown. Who was he feuding with?
He had a fight with Cody.
Cody.
Yeah, hurting his ankle.
And now he's back with Otis. So that just shows you they have no idea how to use this guy, and he's phenomenal on the ring. Phenomenal, on the mic, and they got him going back with Otis again.
Yeah, well, he's not Shorty G, so at least he's coming along there.
That's something.
I'm interested in Gable and Otis. I just don't, like I said, it's not at the right time. They kind of passed it. Now we can go back in time, maybe see this. You hope it doesn't end with more shenanigans and you're starting the feud up again, because I don't know if I have patience for that. I'd like to see the payoff finally for what we've been waiting for. But yeah, it just feels like American or Alpha Academy. There's just no way up the ladder for them. They're just so buried. And I say that while Eric and Ivar, the War Raiders, are tag team champions. So there is a way, right? But it just feels like they are. You got to get American Made up a level again, because American Made seemingly has not recovered completely from losing to the Wyatts. And now, like you said, they did have that brief, shot to the top to face Cody for Gable, which was nice. But it just feels like that's what they're doing, rebounding, put Gable up so they can take him down because he's naturally great at getting the crowd against him, all that. So if they've got another good guy lined up to take him down, maybe that's the next thing. But at some point, you want to see them and get past it. And for Otis, it's going to be a big week for Otis in my mind. Remember, because this is his moment, right? There's not a whole lot of interest in Otis against anybody else on the roster. This is what the payoff that needs to happen for his career, particularly. And if it does, it still kind of leaves him with no direction. That's why I say Alpha Academy is just kind of in trouble here.
Yeah, I mean, they could just have him start doing the worm all the time like he used to do. I mean, that's what he's known for, that and kind of being a soft giant. And that's what I said. I mean, they're paired with Akira Tozawa and oh my gosh, what's the lady's name of the group?
Yeah, no, you're I can't remember either.
Oh my goodness, Maxine Dupree.
Yeah,
right. Her. They just don't. They don't have anything going for them, and it'll be huge, but it's WWE kind of puts himself in a. Otis has to look good, but I don't think he can win, because if he wins, I think that just completely ruins what Chad Gable little he has left. Because if you lose to somebody like Otis, that's hard to recover from. And like you said, I mean, the American Made are trying to recover from the Wyatt Six. We've talked about the Wyatt Six are trying to recover just from being poorly booked, so
Yeah.
that's not great. And it just, WWE has so many great wrestlers, and this is kind of one of the downsides of maybe how big the roster is too. Is you do have so many people, and you try to give them some TV time, but you can give them the wrong TV time. And I know we say any TV time is good, but then you look at the carrying crosses, things like that. That's a time when people are like, oh, bathroom break, oh, popcorn break, and you just don't want that to be Chad Gable, because he has, like we said, he's Kurt Angle 2.0.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what he is, and they're not booking him like that when they should be.
Well, and two, I'll always go back to I think he should have taken the Alpha Academy name, because that's what it was from. What is, I keep saying Alpha Academy because that was originally what his part were, American Alphas.
American Alpha,
and so that lineage kind of follows through him, and there's just nowhere to go for American Alpha. Like I said, and American Made still feels, they could have just said, okay, these are my new guys that are in American Alpha. You guys are out. And pretty much just let those guys go. And no offense again, but they could be kind of the catering guys, because you've got some other guys on the roster. I don't see much creatively for them. Could see Otis get a win here. Gable get his comeback, in the coming weeks. I think that could certainly be a possibility as well here. Speaking of rehashing stuff, Damian Priest against Dominic Mysterio. Dominic had a plan. As the Judgment Day continues to argue and squabble backstage, Dominic's plan is to go out and face Damian Priest. This was a bit of a Christmas fun match because eventually Priest found JD in a Santa costume. He found Carlito under the ring. Carlito was spitting out his apples, and it took eventually Finn Balor to attack for the numbers game to catch up to Damian Priest. And then the War Raiders, of all people, came out to help Damian Priest clear the ring from Judgment Day. So then we saw in the background, in the back, Eric and Ivar from the Warrior Raiders agreeing to go to war alongside Priest this coming week against Judgment Day, who just has all the potential in the world. And they've kept them on TV. They're interesting. They just lose and lose and lose and lose. And so I mean, that's one thing. And then once you get into the dressing up like Santa thing, it's hard to come back from that. So we'll see what they do with them there. More importantly, I think from this match, though, pairing Damian Priest up with Eric and Ivar has got to be this. Like I said, I just don't know what much there is for the War Raiders as champions. This at least gives them something.
Yeah.
But now your tag team champions are sidekicks. So again, I just think you've got a big old mess here.
Yeah, this is the segment I was kind of excited to talk, because I know how much you like the War Raiders, right? They're your favorites, and now they've been inserted into, one of our one of the feuds that has survived the longest, right? And we thought could have had a huge payoff, but they just seem to just drag it on and on and on. But yeah, I can get it, because Finn is kind of in a feud with both of them, if that makes sense. And they haven't even said, acknowledge, the championships, and Finn and JD. I mean, the Judgment Day make fun of them, in the background. They make fun of Finn and all that. But it just feels so sloppy, because it's not like Finn is, I feel like, not actively trying to win those tag team titles back. He's more focused on Damian Priest. And so now you're right. They insert the War Raiders into this to kind of keep the focus. Oh yeah. The Judgment Day had those titles for about 5 months and did absolutely nothing with them. That's who they lost it to. Here you go. Now they're all in a feud together. This is one of those matches, as a WWE fan, you just got to kind of turn it off and be like, all right, this is what happens, right? This isn't as bad as it can get, but you just kind of are like, you know what? It is what it is. This is fun. I'm having fun. Santa Claus has now appeared twice. He has to. It's the Christmas season, the holiday season on there. So, I don't know. I just thought cheesy. They're kind of just doing the same thing over and over and over again. And now with just adding the War Raiders, like you said, they're essentially just now Damian Priest's sidekick, which evidently he doesn't need sidekicks, because there are times where he takes out the Judgment Day 4-on-1. So now you just kind of made it even less uneven on the playing field, because you just gave him the tag team champions, if you think of it that way.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, because it doesn't seem like he needs necessarily both of them. Maybe you could just borrow Eric.
Yeah,
and then all they have to do is take out again I guess the thorn in his side, at least at some point, is Finn Balor is the number that's too much. But I mean, he gets tossed around when it's just him and Damian Priest too. So I don't know. This could be something to extend again to find, are we getting Damian and Finn at WrestleMania? It feels like we might.
Yeah.
And at that point, I could care less who wins. It's just too much. It's just been too long.
Yep. I think this needs to end by the World Rumble. We talked about this. They're doing this to some of these feuds, and it's worrying because we're gonna have no interest in them. This should have been handled a month ago, 2 months ago. And they went away from it. They let them do other storylines, and now it's back, and just then bringing them back and all that. I can't even talk right now. I'm just so tongue tied. So just I don't understand it, because if they have us wait for the final payoff until WrestleMania, that'll have been like half a year of this feud, and we've seen feuds this long, but it's in and out. It's not and nothing new. It's just been the same thing over and over again, and I really hope they have something tomorrow. Maybe they'll surprise us and announce something for January 6th, which seem they're making a big deal out of it for when it goes to Netflix. And then maybe it ends by the Royal Rumble, because I don't want to see it happen at WrestleMania. That's 4 months away. That's way too long for us to have to wait for this, to conclude there.
Yeah. And so, but the part of it too is you want their characters to be, I want both those characters to have something to do at WrestleMania. I highly doubt Finn will, just because of the way they seem to look at him. But even for Damian, like we got to have like a 3-month build for whatever he's going to do at WrestleMania. So if they are going to get to it, and it's not going to be the obvious, Finn Balor and as the demon, like the obvious payoff, like just do it, right? I mean, we've all been waiting. You're dancing around it. They won't do it. So at some point, we're going to get the demon against Damian Priest, and just don't make us wait so long that we don't care who wins.
Yeah, and I mean, there can only be one winner of the Royal Rumble, right? So you can't say they'll go into that, but I don't know. It's just so frustrating, because like you said, we wanted the last time they wrestled for the demon to come out. Nothing, just okay, 1-on-1, whatever. That was fine. Things like that, and it's just so disappointing, because Finn, we keep talking about it. He has so much potential. He's so great in the ring. Former champ that injuries kind of derailed him there a little bit. He's back, and they have him just kind of being the guy that gets so close and losing every single time, when potentially he could be, if he were booked better and WWE champion, I don't think anybody would bat an eye, right? Because I think he has that big of a fan base, and he's that good. Same maybe could be said for Damian. He's there. You got these two guys, and you're kind of completely just dropping the storyline, or just dropping the ball on their storyline, because you just can't seem to get the timing right for it, and you're just kind of teasing us too much. And if you tease us too much, it ends up being like a CM Punk Drew McIntyre, where towards the end we're like, dude, just end it. We don't care. Just end it now.
Well, it just depends. I mean, there's different ways to look at it. Obviously, as a fan, we want to see the payoff.
Mm-hmm.
As WWE, maybe you're milking every cent and dollar you can out of it, which I would assume, I guess, is the only way to describe it at this point. But it's just frustrating, because sometimes when you have these, that's the exciting part about wrestling, is wanting to see what's next.
Yep.
And when they had this breakup at SummerSlam, and even the Raw afterwards, where the Finn was just showing up on the screen, and we saw the new Judgment Day, and it was like, yes, this is what I want to see. Terror Twins was the thing for like a night, and it was like, this is awesome. And now you're just, now I almost just want it. I just want it to end. I don't care who wins. I just want it to end. It reminds me of when Dean Ambrose, and I'm a big Dean Ambrose fan, so a lot of things go back to Dean Ambrose, because I hate how he's booked, especially when he finally had his big heel turn, right? On the night Roman says that he has leukemia, and the next night on Raw or SmackDown, whatever it was, he was walking through the crowd, burning his shield stuff. I was like, this is finally what we're going to see. 3 weeks later, he's like making fun of the crowd for stinking. He's taking shots because he was wearing gas masks, and they just completely lost it. And I don't know if it's that far off, but it feels pretty close to that, with Judgment Day's breakup, which would naturally be some of the best matchups that you've had. But don't let me tell it, as I've been screaming from into this mic for months now. Let's go ahead and take a quick break here. We'll come back. We'll talk more Monday Night Raw and get into SmackDown coming up next year on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Who wants free diamonds? This holiday season, as a thank you for shopping with us, Sartor Heyman Jewelers is giving you free diamonds. Now through December 6th, receive a pair of sparkling diamond stud earrings, a stunning diamond pendant, or a gorgeous diamond tennis bracelet for free with your qualifying purchase. We only have a limited number to give away, so once they're gone, they're gone. Don't wait on this one. Visit Sartor Heyman Jewelers, where your gift shopping shines brighter. In Lincoln at South Point Mall, downtown, and in Grand Island on State Street.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, wanting to thank you all again for your continued service. November is off and running. Check this out. Get up to $12,000 off or 0% financing on select new vehicles. We have great lease specials with new Trax and Trailblazers starting at $299 per month and new Blazer EVs leasing for $399. Great payments, discounts, and of course, 0% financing. So make that short drive down 144th Street or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All finance with approved credit, leases with $2,500 down.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back on Nuclear Heat, ready to talk some more wrestling here. The weekend wrestling that was on the WWE programming side. Augie Pena alongside myself, Jake Bockoven, here to get you through it quickly. We don't talk too much AEW, but I did notice they do have Edge versus Moxley. I was talking about that going on, and the Death Riders and all that. But it seems to me, and again, this is from a distance because I don't watch too much AEW. They shut down Rampage.
Yeah.
It seems like it's just a company that, I mean, they had World's End or whatever it was this last thing, and like I was saying, maybe that sort of an Ed, you rely heavily into your WWE Legends type of deal to kind of get it going again. But have you over the years, has your AEW interest faded at all? Has it been, are you into it?
No, not really. Even when they get, like you said, some of those WWE guys, which is all their roster is, it's just those former WWE guys. No, I watched it a little bit when it started, but I've heard rumors that it might not make it out of 2025 because if you see some of those pictures from their live events,
yeah,
they seem to not be doing all that well. And I know Tony Khan, his family's got a lot of money, own the Jacksonville Jaguars, all that stuff. But you got to think that sometime if you're bleeding money out, you might want to call it quits. And I think that is bad because some of these guys can use that job there, and it is nice to see because I do miss the Cesaros, the John Moxley's. I would love if Dean Ambrose can come back and insert himself into one of these feuds.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that'd be great. I was surprised when Edge left. All that stuff.
Bobby Lashley. They've got a lot of big names.
Yeah, they've got it all. Christian.
Yeah.
They Sasha Banks is there.
Yeah.
They
Chris
got
Jericho.
They have some. Chris Jericho's kind of starting to wash up a little bit there. We'll have to say that. I've heard some of his conversations and things like that. I think his days are numbered.
You be careful, you'll make the list.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm probably already on there, but I'll flip through the channels and I'll see it. I try to watch it. I was watching, like, her name's Britt Baker or something like that. I was watching and it was the worst match I've ever seen. There were so many botches. Like the hits weren't landing. They were like, they tried to spin each other and nobody did anything. So they kind of were like, oh, wait. One of us supposed, it was really, really bad. And I know WWE has some of those, but I was like, this is my first time really trying to watch it. And this is what I saw like that.
Yeah.
That really just turned me off to it. And so I'll see it all the time. And I'm like, even when I'm bored, sometimes I won't, just trying to channel surf. I won't have it on because it just doesn't interest me like that.
Yeah, it's tough. Again, it's a lot of wrestling that you're asked to watch as a wrestling fan to begin with, but we'll see. We don't talk too much AEW, won't get too much into it, but just kind of noting it along the way here. Let's go back into Monday Night Raw where we had The Miz against Dexter Lumis. Interesting. Dexter Lumis, his entrance maybe was the most interesting, where the lights went dark. It was kind of just similar to the whole Wyatt 6 type of showing. He had the Mercy the Buzzard mask and took it off, ran into the ring. Didn't take long for this to break into chaos, as you would expect in this match. The Miz and Dexter Lumis has a little bit of history, but ultimately this was going to set up, again, Final Testament in the Wyatt Six, which it did, minus Uncle Howdy, who was not out there. But the Karrion Kross, Scarlett, Authors of Pain all got involved surrounding Lumis. Lumis does oppose. I think the lights shut off, and all of a sudden the Wyatt Six are there. Ends with Eric Rowan powerbombing Nikki Cross into the Final Testament outside, which was an interesting move. But again, just a singles match to set up the further feud between them. I don't know if you have much to add there.
Not really, but I saw that Scarlett tried to do a stink face over the week, and that didn't go so well. So that kind of just
Nikki Cross bitter.
Yeah, that. I'm sorry, I had to mention that. Oh my gosh, that just shows you kind of how far removed I think
those house shows. Rhea's kind of going viral today. Those house shows, they definitely try out some stuff.
It's just something else. I mean, I guess because it's not on TV, they can maybe get away with a little bit more things. But no, this is just it's kind of the same thing. They had that spot though where Nikki Cross got powerbombed, you know, into them. I thought that was cool. But they just, I don't know. I just, you want to be interested, you kind of want to be invested, but I just find myself really being held back just because of, you know, the bookings and things like that. So that's kind of the main thing. I guess you can go from there.
When again, it just depends on how much you're into it. It's tough. It's you know, it's a part of wrestling. Not everybody's favorite is the supernatural stuff. Some people like it, some people don't. To me, I do like it, but the Wyatt Six just kind of come off like when the lights go out. I'm just like, it kind of misses. Just makes me wish that Bray Wyatt was coming out, which again obviously isn't happening. But you know, it's something. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if they can kind of further it along. I feel like it's maybe in a better place than it was a couple weeks ago. You know, at least everybody's involved. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, after being even shut down by Dom in the backstage, they come out to interrupt the commentators who were not liking the way that they treated Big E either. Kofi Kingston said, well, at least my mother's here and she can stand up for me. She ended up walking away. So just more heat on Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods.
This is turning into my favorite thing. I'm not going to lie. The interaction with Dom, I thought was hilarious. Yeah. And having his mom deny them, they had the opportunity to skyrocket the New Day again with this. Just let them go complete heel, embrace it. Just let them get the Dominic Mysterio treatment, because look at where it's taken him. Perfection. They've got this one in the bag. Just don't ruin it.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. And we mentioned before, Rey Mysterio also tried to do the apology thing backstage. He's the perfect first feud. Crowd loves him. Underdog guy. Beat him up. Get your heat going. That would be perfect. Then we finished the night with Drew McIntyre against Sami Zayn. Again, they're kind of telling the story. Sami Zayn's back. Not good throughout this match, so couldn't quite get off what he wanted to. Ends up with Drew McIntyre getting a Claymore for the win. And then he kept beating down Sami Zayn until Jey Uso came out to make the save. Then the Bloodline come out to attack Jey Uso and Sami Zayn while McIntyre just walks away. It doesn't have much to do with him, right? Or at least he'll just take the help. It's kind of interesting. We saw last week McIntyre and the Bloodline, the new Bloodline, I should say, kind of at least acknowledging similar foes. So I don't know if we'll see them particularly paired together at some point. I'm sure we will, but interesting way to end the night. Again, pretty much what you would expect. Drew McIntyre beats Sammy, and then here come the Bloodline.
Man, poor Sammy. He's just taking the guy taking the loss after loss right now. You know, but he kind of serves that, you know, because then in a month when WrestleMania season's up, he's going to go after a belt and say, I'm the guy that's always getting beat, and the underdog story, they got to keep it going. But for this one, I thought it was, like you said, kind of run of the mill. Here it is, Bloodline being there, things like that. I thought it was a fine match. But yeah, it's just kind of the cookie cutter Monday Night Raw. Here we go.
Yeah,
that's kind of just what.
If you had to guess how that at the beginning of the night when you saw the match was going to be booked, that's exactly how you would guess it would be booked. And 100%. So again, sometimes if you know, predictability is not bad if it makes sense within the storyline. I think it does here. So there you have it. There's Monday Night Raw. Let's take a quick break. We've got SmackDown to talk about. here on Nuclear Heat. Before we get out of here, we got one more segment to do. So we'll talk about SmackDown coming next year on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket.
Little ones is a big job, and you do your best to give them a good start every day. That means making sure they're well cared for while you're apart. You work hard, but it's not always easy to make ends meet. There may be help. Find out if you qualify for Nebraska's Child Care Tax Credit for working parents. You could be eligible for a credit of up to $2,000 per child on your next tax return. Learn more at nebraskachildcaretaxcredit.org. Brought to you by First 5 Nebraska and Nebraska Children and Families Foundation and aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
Ryan, with all this red and all these people around, I'm still not seeing the tailgate.
Todd Spidell, former body shop owner, terrible driver.
We're getting close. Now, did you know with 3 locations in Lincoln and hundreds of years of combined technician experience, we can get Husker fans back on the road even quicker and safer after their tailgate mishaps? Oh, Todd, turn left right here.
Left or right?
Left, right here.
Right?
Well, you wait for the tow truck. I'm getting a hot dog.
Well, I guess while I'm waiting. All right! Most recommended! Eustace Body Shop!
Woohoo! Dude, you should be on American Idol.
You really think so?
No.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bockoven on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yes, sir. We are back here on Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket WWE Weekend Review. Took 2 segments to get through Raw. Now we've just got 1 segment to get through SmackDown. What are we going to do when SmackDown goes to 3 hours? Tune in next week to find out. hopefully speak a little quicker or stop complaining about something. I don't know what we were talking about earlier too much, but let's get into SmackDown where Nick Aldis opened up confirming that KO still had the Winged Eagle belt. He is not the WWE champion, but he has to return the belt. Not don't have to follow the logic too much there. I mean, I guess they just want their property back and saying he's not the champion. So that was kind of set up. What we would see throughout the night was KO going to return the belt. He decided to have a meeting in the middle of the ring with Nick Aldis to close out the show. Then we opened up with Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Bayley against Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. We've seen every variation of this match, singles matches between everybody. We'll get more. Don't worry. Nia Jax and Naomi will go at it, I think, next week for the Women's World Championship. So it's tough sometimes to really care who wins here, but ultimately this was another opportunity for Tiffany Stratton ultimately to cash in. I thought maybe they took a step forward here. Jax was down. LeRae stops her. Tiffy was very very vocal about what she was going for and what she was trying to do there to become champion. So maybe they can kind of play off that and finally move this on from the other times that they've teased her cashing in. All of that, which we've talked about that somewhat bothering us to a degree. What bothered me a lot more about this was that Bianca Belair and Bayley are just burying years worth of a feud and not liking each other, which they did not let go. Like WWE television would remind you over and over that they didn't. Now Bayley was part of the team or whatever. So whatever she did, apparently that's enough. So in 20 seconds, and they like acknowledged it and just let it go. It was like, Bayley, yeah, we're great. Let's go. And then I thought Bayley awkwardly dancing to the ring with Naomi and Bianca Belair. Look, it just had kind of the guy that doesn't know how to dance and on the dance floor type of moves there. So I mean, altogether, I was entertained, but not necessarily happy with how quickly they just kind of said, "Okay, now Bayley and Bianca are friends."
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was waiting to say that. That's the part that just irked me the most. Is, oh, I got you, girl. You know I got your back, and like, are we cool? Yeah, we're cool. It's like, no, it's like you shouldn't. Yeah. Somebody, I know it's scripted. spoilers there and everything. But it's like, no, you don't just do that fast. And that's something we kind of talked about when they were doing the war games and all that stuff. Just like all this beef between everybody just squashed, just magically gone. When, we weren't going to forget about that. And then Tiffany just teasing again. And that whole backstage segment with Tiffany and Candice LeRae was horrible. I thought they were very cartoon, which I know a lot of them are cartoony, but I thought that was just a horrible back and forth. And like you said, it's just the same thing over and over again. At this point, I don't care when she cashes in now. And the crowd, I don't know if you heard, they weren't as loud. They were kind of just like,
believe it
yeah,
either.
they're like, oh, yeah, okay, here we go. And, it is the same thing. Somebody interfered. And yeah, that's kind of how it goes. And until she cashes in, I don't think anybody's going to really be as excited until it's, it's official. Ring, ring, ring. Here we go. Then it's like, oh, okay, this is happening. Which, like you said, this is kind of what WWE goes for. But there's just kind of a lot of bad things. I didn't like this segment. That was just me.
This whole thing is it's the same thing they've been playing for the last couple of weeks.
They need people to come back. They need to reshuffle. The transfer portal. I don't know what else it's supposed to do, but they've got to reshuffle it because the SmackDown WWE championships, all that stuff. They need new faces in it because this is bad right now.
Well, they just need to move on. I mean, Jade Cargill. The next step is obvious there for Bianca Belair and Naomi with the Jade Cargill thing. Tiffany just needs to cash in. Then you've got Candice LeRae and I. We all know what the next step are. So kind of having to sit through this for a week or two is one thing, but for feels like a month and a half now of just being in the middle where where the ending is going to be, and we're just kind of dancing around there. Like you said. The crowd's not going to buy into it, that she's going to cash in because you just kind of think of all the other better opportunities there would be. And it's just sad because Tiffany Stratton should be rocking this thing.
Yeah.
And as her, by her side, and it's just rehash. It's just the same thing. So we'll see. I'm sure next time we see Tiffany Stratton, she'll almost cash in, and we'll see what that leads to. Again, she was vocal about trying to get the championship here. So maybe that leads to something different moving forward.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't bank on it. Braun Strowman against Austin Theory here. Austin Theory could not quite get Braun Strowman, up for his finisher. So that was kind of the story they told here. Interesting that Theory and Waller were teased for months about kind of breaking up, and then now they seem to be back together. No, that storyline's kind of gone. And I saw a lot of appreciation for Austin Theory as far as being able to put on a good match. People remember that he can do that. He, of course, was booked in a very strange way where he was getting everything and just not getting over. So he kind of became a punching bag for wrestling fans. But I was glad to see after this match, at least from what I saw, some appreciation for what he can do in the ring. But obviously, Braun Strowman should be booked to win this one.
Oh, yeah, for sure. On that. And like you said, I think everybody was confused at the whole Grayson Waller, Austin Theory just kind of going. And I'm just going to say this once. We don't got to talk about it. But Grayson Waller, that outfit, those overalls.
You didn't like it?
No, those were ridiculous. The cheetah print overalls on a guy. No, thank you. That just distracted me the whole segment. I just was like, what am I watching? I know he's supposed to be out of, there, all that stuff, but
yeah.
Come on, I don't think they're rocking that in Australia. That was such a bad look.
I thought that was like a 90s throwback or something like that. I don't mind when they
but
look like
we
90s
wore
guys.
jean, not cheetah print, things like that. Just, and then he had the one strap, the nine and no shirt, and I was like, this WWE, I don't know what you're doing this week, but they've been off their game just a little bit with kind of some of the segments and things. So that's the one thing I got to add to this.
All right, we better move along. WWE did have the ring decked out for Chelsea Green's United States Championship celebration. She kind of gave a good speech, as she does, always entertaining, before Mia Yim came out to the ring with a kendo stick. Piper Niven saved Green from the beatdown, but she took a little bit of herself. I think I'm very fascinated to see how they'll book Chelsea Green in the championship with her championship, because I think she's fantastic. Mm-hmm. She's a great character. Now you've got this strap to her. I just can't wait to see what they do. That being said, I wasn't too happy to see kind of a rehash of an old feud coming back with Mia Yim. I mean, I think she called her trash lover or something.
Yeah.
So she's got some stuff to work with there, and typically they will do that. First challenger will be somebody that already has some history with you. So hopefully that's the idea here, is to move Chelsea Green along past Mia Yim, and I'll be interested to see what they do moving forward.
I mean, yeah, I shared the exact same thoughts. When I saw it was Mia Yim, I'm like, why? Mia Yim's story was great. She had the run to the finals, all that stuff. They had their feud, but there's no reason to continue it and have it be Chelsea's first title defense. No reason. And Mia Yim, like we said, she's kind of come up, all that stuff. Chelsea Green, great. But I'm not excited for this. I know they got to have one feud, all this stuff. And I saw something that when Chelsea Green first debuted on the main roster, it was against Mia Yim. So they do have that. But there's no doubt Chelsea Green's going to win this one. But yeah, after that, then I'm excited to see who she'll see. But I was very, very let down when I saw it was Mia Yim again.
Yeah, and it's just because Chelsea, it's something against Mia. I think Mia Yim has come out of this kind of with a gimmick, which is that she'll use kendo sticks and stuff, which is good. She's got something, which for the longest time in WWE she hasn't. But you just wanted to see something fresh. Like Green winning that was so exciting. It's like, all right, what's going to come out next? Somebody's music. A big return to face Chelsea Green would have been fantastic. So just to kind of get what we've already seen, there it is. But we'll see. Maybe okay. So Angel and Berto could put on a good match. The Street Profits can put on a good match. And that's what we had. We had the Street Profits against Angel Berto. This was set up because Pretty Deadly told Street Profits that it was Legado del Fantasma that attacked them. Ultimately, the Street Profits get the win. And then later on in the show, Apollo Crews says it was DIY who did it. So now you just got a lot of moving characters. Like we said, maybe some of these guys would be in catering, so at least they're getting TV time. I mentioned earlier that was Apollo Crews' little 10 seconds to work with today. And we don't have a lot of time to talk about it. I guess this is just a whole feud to get a lot of people some screen time, so I can't hate it. It's just a lot for a random attack on the Street Profits that I don't necessarily care for.
Yeah, this is what you're worried about. The third hour of SmackDown is going to be dedicated to. Is this storyline is going to take up a half an hour of it?
Yeah.
That's the one thing that popped into my mind was, oh gosh, they've announced officially 3 hours. Here we go. This is what we have. But I agree with you. I mean, someone attacked the Street Profits. They're just playing he said, she said. Well, he said, between like 6 different people. I don't know what Endgame is here, but somebody attacked the Street Profits and they were just trying to figure out who it was.
Yeah.
There you go.
I just think DIY is your champion. I don't know. They're finding something for them to do.
Yeah. Third hour.
I would have just rather have seen DIY fight somebody, I think, but we didn't get that. Carmelo Hayes against Sami Zayn. This set up because Carmelo Hayes interrupted a conversation between Zayn and Nick Aldis. So then Zayn requested this matchup. Kind of interesting, good match. Both of them can put on a good match. But we're going to end in a disqualification here. Hayes decides he's done. He walks out there and tries to walk away from the ring. Braun Strowman then chases him out there, back to the backstage. The New Bloodline comes out and attacks Sami Zayn in the ring. Strowman brings Carmelo Hayes on his shoulder, dumps him to go and help Sami Zayn, but Solo Sikoa and company ultimately get the best out of both of them. And then KO's music hits.
Yeah.
So before we get into KO and Cody here, what would you kind of think about Carmelo Hayes, Sami Zayn, the Bloodline of Braun Strowman? Again, a lot of people involved here.
So Sami Zayn is working overtime right now, so I hope they're paying him for that.
Yeah.
Because he seems to be on every show, every episode the last month. But the most interesting thing of all this, when I saw Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu staring each other down, I was like, please, I know they're not going to let it happen, but just let this be a foreshadowing. Those two going at it, I think would be phenomenal. So that's that. And then of course it didn't get to happen because it got there, but I was like, please just let them start, going at it, or just in the future, because that's who Jacob Fatu needs to just take out, is just bigger, stronger former champions. Right. And I think that would, already solidify him more than what he's at. But yeah, that was kind of the most exciting thing about it for me.
Yeah, his singles run's going to be fun whenever they're done with this, and it's something where they kind of WWE does a good job of acknowledging and realizing when somebody's hot and new, and you can kind of use those stare downs. Yeah. So there'll be a few more. He had one with Roman before. Now here with Strowman, there will be some more. So it'll be fun to see what they eventually do with Jacob Fatu. As we wrap up the show, though, let's wrap up the way they wrapped up SmackDown. With Kevin Owens coming out talking to Nick Aldis, Nick Aldis again gave him the ultimatum. Cody Rhodes shows up with the actual title, so the fact that the wing title is stolen doesn't seem to matter too much, I suppose, but they're still obviously want to squash their beef. The American Nightmare then proposed a ladder match to settle it. And again, as we mentioned earlier in the show, Nick Aldis makes it official for the Royal Rumble. KO ends up the show attacking and stomping on Rhodes' injured neck. He actually bumped into Aldis to do it. So I'm interested to see. I mean, that kind of sets up more of KO against the WWE, if you will. But my favorite thing about all of this was is how they caught a really good angle of KO stepping on a Cody while he's on the stretcher board, holding the title up, and that's just a great sight. And they did a good job of realizing that and replaying it and showing it over and over again. I think that's kind of the money picture that I want to have going into Royal Rumble in this feud. And again, this is an uphill battle for anybody to believe that Kevin Owens is ever going to win this.
Yeah.
But they're doing a good job of making it heated enough to make it interesting.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and that's why I'm going to say this. I think he's got like a 40% chance of winning the title.
You do now.
I mean, probably not, but hey, if anyone's going to have done it to Cody, take that belt away, they're kind of making it believable that it could be Kevin Owens at this moment. And I'm excited because they made it a ladder match for the Royal Rumble, so that's going to be fun. Just letting those two kind of go at it. Just what happens in ladder matches, guys get thrown out. Somebody got thrown off of the Vince McMahon building during 2020, the COVID.
Right. I think a few guys did.
Yeah, they got thrown off the buildings you thought they were gone for, but they came back. They're all healthy. I mean, things like that. So it could be fun, and this was I thought a good way to end it and just kind of keep it going and just let Kevin Owens be Kevin Owens. I think you got money here.
Yeah, and remember they did do that little deal where Triple H said that Kevin Owens is more dangerous than when we've seen him. I think they're finally starting to pay off on that, and you see why that's going to happen. Of course, this is going to end up with Randy Orton coming back and getting his revenge. So we'll see. I would guess for KO, Randy Orton at WrestleMania, but we'll see if maybe it goes that far. Maybe they've got different plans. But that'll wrap it up for Nuclear Heat. We'll talk about this week in wrestling when we have the chance next week, next Sunday, here on 93.7 The Ticket.